All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to dedicate renovated complex of Jalyawala Bhagsmarak to the nation at Amritsar in Punjab this evening. India administered over 1 crore doses of COVID vaccine in single day. Prime Minister hails it as a momentous feat. Centre asks Kerala government to adopt 5-point strategy following sharp rise in COVID cases in the state. President Ramnath Kovind to lay foundation stone of Uttar Pradesh's first Ayush University in Gorakhpur today. Government says majority of Indians have been evacuated from Afghanistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Italian counterpart Mario Draghi discuss recent developments in Afghanistan. Central government's flagship financial inclusion program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, completes 7 years today. Odisha government approves electric vehicle policy, targets 20% electric vehicles on road by 2025. And paddler Bhavina Patel confirms first medal for India at Tokyo Paralympics. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate the renovated complex of Jalyawala Bhagsmarak to the nation today in the evening at 6:25 p.m. through video conferencing. He will also inaugurate the museum galleries developed at the Smarak. The event will also showcase the multiple development initiatives taken by the government to upgrade the complex. Union Minister of Culture, Union Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, Ministers of State for Culture, Governor and Chief Minister of Punjab, Chief Ministers of Haryana, Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, all Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha MPs from Punjab, members of Jalyawala Bagh National Memorial Trust, among others, will be present on the occasion. We have more from our correspondent.
4 museum galleries have been created through adaptive reuse of redundant and underutilized buildings. The galleries showcase historical value of events that unfolded in Punjab during that period with the fusion of audiovisual technology, including projection mapping and 3D representation, as well as art and sculptural installations. A sound and light show has been set up to display the events that happened on 13th April 1919. Multiple development initiatives have been undertaken at the complex. Elaborate heritage restoration works have been carried out in sync with the local architectural style. The Sahidi well has been repaired and restored with a redefined superstructure. The heart of the Bagh, the flame monument, has been repaired and restored. Also, newer areas have been developed for housing the Salvation Ground, Amar Jyot and Flag Mosque. Anupam Mish, AR News, Delhi.
India administered more than 1 crore doses of COVID vaccine yesterday under its nationwide vaccination drive. This is the highest ever vaccination achieved in a single day since the start of the vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said the country's cumulative COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 62 crores. The new phase of universalization of COVID-19 vaccination commenced from the 21st of June this year.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the record COVID-19 vaccination of over 1 crore doses yesterday is a momentous feat. In a tweet, he said kudos to those getting vaccinated and those making the vaccination drive a success. Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia said the tireless efforts of health workers and determination of the Prime Minister to provide free vaccines to all are showing the results. All northeastern states are joining hands to promote Ayush system of medicines. In a significant step, the Minister of Ayush is organizing a conference today in which Ayush and health ministers of all the northeastern states are participating. Ayush Minister Sarbananda Sonowal, MOS for Ayush Dr. Munjapara Mahendra Bhai and Hemanta Biswa Sharma, Chief Minister of Assam, along with other dignitaries, will grace the occasion. Northeastern states have been blessed with natural resources and traditional practices which contribute to the core strengths of Ayush systems of medicine. In this regard, it is felt that Ayush systems can be efficiently mainstreamed and can become more popular in the northeastern states.
In Uttar Pradesh, COVID vaccination work is going on as per the centre's directions. As of now, number of COVID vaccination has crossed 6,68,47,000 in the state. This is the highest number of vaccinations done in any state in the country. Amid the recent sharp increase in the COVID-19 cases in Kerala, the centre has asked the state government to ensure strict adherence to the five-fold strategy of test, track, treat, vaccinate and ensuring COVID-appropriate behavior. In a letter to the State Chief Secretary, Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan reiterated that containment zones are required to be defined as per the guidelines with a special focus on the high transmission clusters. He asked to clearly identify buffer zones around the containment zones and enhance passive surveillance to detect any spillover of cases from the containment zones. Mr. Bhushan added that contact tracing efforts should be further scaled up to ensure that at least 20 to 25 contacts per positive cases are identified. The enforcement of COVID-appropriate behavior and avoidance of mass gatherings have also been suggested to the state government. The Secretary also directed to enhance targeted testing in containment zones. The Kerala government has been told to devise a state-specific strategy to complete the second dose vaccination of the due beneficiaries.
In view of the rise in COVID-19 cases in Maharashtra, the centre has asked the state governments to consider imposing and enforcing local restrictions and public observation of upcoming Dahi Handi and Ganapati Utsav festivals and mass gatherings. In a letter to the State Chief Secretary, Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan cited the concerns of Indian Council of Medical Research and the National Centre for Disease Control regarding the potential of mass gathering events during festivals turning into super spreader events. He said this is particularly important in view of circulation of more transmissible variants of concern being reported by various states including Maharashtra. Mr. Bhushan reiterated any laxity in ensuring strict adherence to the five-fold strategy of test, track, treat, vaccinate and ensuring COVID-appropriate behavior may result in losing the impetus that Maharashtra and the country has gained so far in managing the pandemic. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to dedicate Renovated complex of Jalyawala Bhagsmarak to the nation at Amritsar in Punjab this evening. India administered over 1 crore doses of COVID vaccine in single day. Prime Minister hails it a momentous feat. Centre asked Kerala government to adopt 5-point strategy following sharp rise in COVID cases in the state. President Ramnath Kovind to lay foundation stone of Uttar Pradesh's first Ayush University in Gorakhpur today. Government says majority of Indians have been evacuated from Afghanistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Italian counterpart Mario Draghi discuss recent developments in Afghanistan. Central government's flagship financial inclusion program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, completes 7 years today. Odisha government approves electric vehicle policy, targets 20% electric vehicles on road by 2025. Paddler Bhavina Patel confirms first medal for India at Tokyo Paralympics. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
आजादी के आंदोलन के खजाने में ऐसे ढेरों शब्द जिन्होंने बदल दिए इतिहास। तारीख बदलने वाले लफ्जों पर आकाशवाणी समाचार ला रहा है विशेष कार्यक्रम धरोहर, हर सोमवार।
Welcome back to the morning news on All India Radio. On the third day of his visit to Uttar Pradesh, President Ramnath Kovind will reach Gorakhpur today. The President will lay the foundation stone of the state's first Ayush University. He will also inaugurate the Mahayogi Guru Gorakhnath Vishwavidyalaya in the city. More from our Gorakhpur correspondent.
Gorakhpur is ready to welcome President Ramnath Kovind for the second time. Elaborate security arrangements have been made and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is himself overseeing the preparations. The Chief Minister reached the city a day earlier of the President's arrival. He supervised preparations at the venues to be visited by the President today. This is going to be a special moment for Gorakhpur as the city will get 2 universities in a single day. With this, the district will have 4 universities and this will be a step forward towards establishing Gorakhpur as an educational hub in the Purvanchal region. Aditya Shukla, AIR News, Gorakhpur.
The government has said that safety of Indian citizens in Afghanistan is its topmost priority. Briefing media, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said that India continues to monitor the situation in the crisis-hit country very carefully, and this is an evolving situation. Mr. Bagchi said the government has evacuated 550 people in 6 separate flights from Kabul and Dushanbe.
करीब 550 से ज्यादा टोटल लोगों को लाया गया है। 6 फ्लाइट्स हुई उसमें। ये 550 में से करीब 260 के ऊपर भारतीय नागरिक हैं। इसके अलावा हमारे एम्बेसी के जो लोग काम करते थे काबुल में, उनको भी लाया गया और इसके अलावा अफगान नेशनल्स जो थे और थर्ड कंट्री में भी कुछ लोग थे। इवैक्यूएशन के लिए हम यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स से क्लोज कोऑर्डिनेशन उनके साथ रहा और बाकी देशों में तजिकिस्तान के साथ दुशानबे एयरपोर्ट से हमने यूज किया और कुछ कंट्रीज के साथ ओवरफ्लाइट और बाकी कोऑर्डिनेशन करनी पड़ी, जैसे ईरान भी है, उज्बेकिस्तान। इससे हमें बहुत फायदा हुआ है।
Mr. Bagchi informed that the overall assessment is the vast majority of Indians who wish to return have been evacuated.
There was a query, of course, how many Indians from how many left? Look, this is a number that changes as we receive new information of people who contact us with the request to leave the country. There could be Indians there who may wish to continue to stay in the country. We may not know that. Or as, to be honest, as they find new or other routes to other destinations, some of them have gone to other countries and we are aware of that. In fact, we have facilitated some of that and been in touch with other friends, partners who have pulled them out. Our overall assessment is that the vast majority of Indians who wish to return have been evacuated.
Mr. Bagchi said the last flight had 40-odd people amid reports that Afghan nationals were facing difficulties in reaching the airport. MHA has announced an e-emergency visas for the Afghans who are coming to India. These are 6-month visas. The MEA spokesperson said India is seeking a peaceful, prosperous, democratic Afghanistan.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with the Prime Minister of Italy, Mario Draghi. Both the leaders discussed the recent developments in Afghanistan and its implications for the region and the world. They strongly condemned the horrific terror attack at the Kabul International Airport. They emphasized the need to ensure the safe repatriation of stranded people. Both the leaders stressed upon the need for international cooperation, including at the level of G20, in addressing the humanitarian crisis. The leaders also discussed long-term security concerns arising out of the developments in Afghanistan. The two leaders also shared views on other important issues in the G20 agenda, such as climate change and forthcoming multilateral engagements too, such as COP26. Prime Minister Modi appreciated Italy's dynamic leadership in productively steering discussions within the G20. The two leaders agreed to remain in touch on bilateral and global issues, especially on the situation in Afghanistan. Minister of State for Defence Ajay Bhatt visited Chushul in eastern Ladakh yesterday. Fire and Fury Corps General Officer Commanding Lieutenant General P.J.K. Menon briefed on the role played by the Indian Army as a partner in the development of Ladakh region through infrastructure, welfare and human resource development activities. Mr. Bhatt interacted with the area commanders and troops deployed in eastern Ladakh. He complimented them for guarding the borders in the most inhospitable and difficult terrain while maintaining a high standard of morale and professionalism. Mr. Ajay Bhatt exhorted all ranks to remain vigilant and maintain a high order of operational readiness. Similarly, MOS Home Nityanand Rai will be visiting forward posts of ITBP at Lukung today. To boost the morale of Himveers of ITBP, he would spend a night with them. Yesterday, ITBP Northwest Frontier senior officials gave a presentation on the conditions of frontline defense by ITBP and operational preparedness in eastern Ladakh.
The central government's flagship financial inclusion program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, completes 7 years today. The scheme was launched on this day in 2014 with an aim to provide universal access to banking facilities to the citizens across the country. Under this scheme, bank accounts are being opened with minimal paperwork and zero balance. Indigenous debit cards are being issued for cash withdrawal and payment at merchant locations with free accident insurance coverage of 2 lakh rupees. Besides, other financial facilities including micro-insurance, overdraft for consumption and micro-pension are also being offered. A report.
One of the biggest financial inclusion schemes in the world, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana has made remarkable progress in providing banking and other financial services to the marginalized and poor sections of the society. In the last 7 years, it has not only helped the poor in bringing their savings into the formal financial system, but also provided an avenue to remit money to their families in villages, besides taking them out of the clutches of the usurious money lenders. So far, over 43 crore 4 lakh bank accounts have been opened under the scheme and more than 1,46,000 crore rupees balance are in the beneficiary accounts. Over 31 crore rupee debit cards have been issued to beneficiaries. A large number of Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana account holders are also receiving direct benefit transfer from the government under various welfare schemes. Divakar, AR News, Delhi.
The government has introduced a new registration mark for new vehicles Bharat Series, B8 Series, to facilitate seamless transfer of vehicles. A vehicle bearing this registration mark will not require assignment of a new registration mark when the owner of the vehicle shifts from one state to another. The Road Transport and Highways Ministry has issued a notification in this regard.
The Odisha government has approved a new policy on electric vehicles. It was approved by the State Cabinet meeting chaired by Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik in Bhubaneswar yesterday. The new policy is aimed at achieving a target of 20% electric vehicles on road by 2025. We have more from our correspondent.
The policy sets an ambitious target of ensuring that at least 20 vehicles out of each 100 that would be registered in the state would be battery operated electric vehicles by 2025. The stated aim of the policy is to contribute to the reduction of global temperature, which in turn is contributed by fossil fuel driven vehicle emissions. Under the proposed policy guidelines, it has also been decided to extend financial incentives that includes interest subvention in loans taken to purchase electric vehicles and waiving off of road tax and registration fees during the policy period to the manufacturers and users of electric vehicles. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
The Gujarat government has decided to reopen schools from the 2nd of September for classes 6 to 8. All SOPs issued by the state and central governments will be followed by the schools. We have more from the Ahmedabad correspondent.
Schools will work with 50% capacity. Willing students need to submit a consent from their parents. The schools for class 9 to 11 in the state were already opened last month. Meanwhile, the Gujarat government is organizing vaccination camps in all schools and colleges across the state for the 18+ age group. This will help to vaccinate all eligible students, teachers and their family members before 5th September. This decision was taken following direction from the center to vaccinate all the teachers before the Teachers' Day. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
Delhi schools, colleges and coaching centres will be reopened in a phased manner from the 1st of September. Briefing reporters in New Delhi yesterday, Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia said classes 9 to 12 will start from the 1st of September. Mr. Sisodia said no student will be forced to attend the school and consent of parents is mandatory. He said students and teachers have to follow all COVID protocols.
Information and Broadcasting Ministry is celebrating Iconic Week from the 23rd to 29th of this month as part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Today, All India Radio will broadcast Azadi Ka Safar Akashvani ke saath in both Hindi and English. Prasang, book review in Hindi dedicated to freedom fighters or art or culture will be broadcast in Parikrama at 4:45 p.m. It is also organizing regional Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Doordarshan will telecast Azadi Ka Safar and Saga of Freedom Struggle program tomorrow morning. It will also telecast a program on 7 years of Jan Dhan Yojana along with other special programs. Press Information Bureau is organizing webinars today on freedom struggle on various states. Bureau of Outreach and Communication is organizing outreach programs today in various states. There will be 100 programs by Song and Drama Division across the country today. Publication Division is organizing book exhibition in Lucknow. National Film Development Corporation will stream English film titled Miss Bearty's Children, directed by Pamela Rooks. The Films Division is organizing online film festival titled Ratnas of India on its website and YouTube channel.
आजादी के 75 वर्षों का पर्व अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर आकाशवाणी समाचार लेकर आ रहा है अमृत महोत्सव क्विज। आप भी इस क्विज का हिस्सा बन सकते हैं। हमारे समाचार बुलेटिनों में पूछे गए स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन से जुड़े प्रश्नों का जवाब देकर। आपसे ये सवाल प्रत्येक सोमवार और मंगलवार को सुबह 8 बजे प्रसारित होने वाले बुलेटिन समाचार प्रभात में पूछे जाएंगे। विजेता का चुनाव ईमेल पर मिले सही जवाबों में से लकी ड्रॉ के माध्यम से होगा और इसकी घोषणा अगले दिन इसी बुलेटिन में की जाएगी। विजेता को प्रमाण पत्र के साथ एक उपहार भी दिया जाएगा। साथ ही विजेता का नाम हमारे ट्विटर हैंडल पर भी फ्लैश होगा। तो आइए मनाएं आजादी के 75 वर्षों का पर्व अमृत महोत्सव आकाशवाणी समाचार के साथ।
Now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we bring you the story of a great freedom fighter and social reformer from Gujarat, Javed Chand Meghani. Javed Chand Meghani was born on this day in 1896 in Chotila town of Surendranagar district in Gujarat. Inclined towards literature from a young age, he wrote his very first poem when he was just 12. He went on to pursue degrees in both Sanskrit and English literature. In 1930, the noted poet and writer was sentenced to 2 years in jail for writing the book Sindhu that contained songs to inspire the youth participating in the struggle for independence from the British Raj.
It was during this time that he wrote Kavya Tripoti based on Gandhiji's visit to London for the Round Table Conference. He was conferred the title of Rashtra Shayar or a national poet by Mahatma Gandhi. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel praised him and said he was a voice full of courage. One of his most famous songs, Mor Bani Thangat Kare, My Mind Dances Like a Peacock, was used in the 2013 Hindi film Goliyon Ki Ras Leela Ram Leela.
Meghani authored more than 100 books. His first book was a translation work of Rabindranath Tagore's ballad Kotha O Kahini, titled Kurbani Niye Kotha, Stories of Martyrdom, which was first published in 1922. He was also the editor of Phul Chhap newspaper of Janmabhoomi Group, which is being published till date from Rajkot.
It was also on this day in 1928 that the Nehru Committee Report or the Nehru Report was submitted at the Lucknow session of the All-Party Conference. A committee headed by Motilal Nehru, with Jawaharlal Nehru as the secretary, was set up to draft a constitution. When the Simon Commission came to India in 1928, it was vehemently opposed by Indians, especially by the Indian National Congress, for the lack of a single Indian in the commission. So, the Secretary of the State for India, Lord Birkenhead, challenged the Indian leaders to draft a constitution for India, implicitly implying that Indians were not capable of finding a common path and drafting a constitution.
The political leaders accepted this challenge, and an all-party conference was held and a committee report appointed with the task of drafting a constitution. The Nehru report had the primary motive of assigning dominion status to India within the British Commonwealth. Some of the main recommendations of the report were the formation of a federal form of government with residuary powers in the hands of centre, enshrinement of 19 fundamental rights, including the right to vote for men and women above 21 years of age, equal rights for men and women as citizens, no state religion, and a proposal for the creation of a Supreme Court. In fact, the Nehru report was the first major attempt by Indians to draft a constitution of India.
Today is the death anniversary of the great freedom fighter Chengjapao Dongel from Manipur, popularly known as Chengjapao Kuki. He was one of the Kuki leaders who questioned the British authority during the Kuki uprising of 1917-1919. During the Second World War, he organized Kukis against colonial and feudal authority of the British under the banner of the Indian National Army. He was the chief of Asan, the city of Dongal clan. During the reign of Chengjapao, Asan's glory spread far and wide, and it became the most powerful city. The British government saw the rise of Chengjapao Dongel and the revolt of the Kukis as a serious threat to the eastern part of India. Chengjapao Dongel was arrested and sent to jail for 4 years.
After India gained its independence, the government, in recognition of the bravery shown by the Kuki heroes and in memory of the war of independence they had fought, gave a grant for the construction of Kuki Inn, which today stands in the heart of the Imphal town. Chengjapao Dongel's name will continue to be remembered with honor and reverence in the history of India's freedom struggle. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in next episode tomorrow.
Olympics, Indian table tennis player Bhavina Ben Hasmukhbhai Patel has entered the semi-final of women's singles after a 3-0 win over Serbia's Borislava Peric-Rankovic. Bhavina has ensured a medal for the country. In cricket, India will resume their second innings at the overnight score of 215 for 2 against England on day 4 of the third test at Headingley.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi is likely to have partly cloudy sky. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky. Chennai is expected to have generally cloudy sky. Kolkata will have generally cloudy sky and there might be light rain. Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm. Jammu will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm. In northeast, Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong, Aizawl, Kohima, Itanagar, Gangtok and Agartala will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Breaking a new record, a top front page headline in Hindustan Times writes, India delivers 10 million shots in single day in new wax landmark. The Hindu business line ad thanks to rising supply dipping hesitancy. All the dailies have covered the news of the tragic Kabul blast. Asian Age mentions Biden chokes as he vows revenge. Setting new benchmark, Sensex ends above 56,000, Nifty scales a new high, report the Economic Times. And finally, the Hindu observes Deepar Beel Wildlife Sanctuary in Assam breathes easy after eco-sensitive zone notification.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to dedicate renovated complex of Jalyawala Bhagsmarak to the nation at Amritsar in Punjab this evening. India administered over 1 crore doses of COVID vaccine in a single day. Prime Minister hails it as a momentous feat. Centre asks Kerala government to adopt 5-point strategy following sharp rise in COVID cases in the state. President Ramnath Kovind to lay foundation stone of Uttar Pradesh's first Ayush University in Gorakhpur today. Government says majority of Indians have been evacuated from Afghanistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Italian counterpart Mario Draghi discuss recent developments in Afghanistan. Central government's flagship financial inclusion program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, completes 7 years today. And paddler Bhavina Patel confirms first medal for India at Tokyo Paralympics. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.